everybody.
Hi guys.
I'm in Copenhagen and today I'll talk to Mellody. And I met her in the same yoga studio as I met Oliver, who was in my previous video. And I heard she has very interesting story to tell us.
Let's see.
So I think this was, I was excited to meet you, Mellody, and please can you introduce yourself, and also if you can tell me, my first question as usual is, how did you get into yoga?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so my name is Mellody. I was born in Hungary and my parents are from Cambodia. So I kind of have this international background. And I'm living in Denmark for the past 6 years. My family being Cambodian, I kind of grew up with Buddhist values. So it's Theravada Buddhism. So for me, I would say spirituality or just religion itself, it was always something that has been ingrained in my life. I got into yoga quite early, actually, when I was 18, quite accidentally as well. But yeah, I used to go to a yoga school where I don't know, surprisingly I got super early into topics like chakras and energetic type of asanas, and then I left the journey around after a year or something, because then I got into university, then all the, I would say normal society type of things came in. So then I finished business education, and I started my career as a management consultant in business. And then I returned to yoga a couple of years ago after literally a serious burnout. I had it 2 years ago, where basically that's where I figured out that nothing really helped me apart from doing yoga. Yeah.
So you basically dropped your career
and
came into yoga?
I wouldn't say that. So I think I didn't drop it. So when I had the stress symptoms a couple of years ago, then I literally just stopped working for a couple of weeks first. And then I just started to integrate yoga in my life a bit more. That's when I started to take more studio yoga classes, I would say, so less on the traditional types. I did that for a couple of months, and then it helped for some, but then I realized that I had to go back to what I've learned when I was 18, in terms of to the very traditional hatha rooted practices. And then I went on a journey to start my yoga teacher training, and then have some Indian teachers and stuff like that.
So you did in India?
So first I started in Bali. So I just finished my 200-hour teacher training just a couple of months ago. But first I started in Bali, and that was kind of a good intro for getting into yoga. But then I always wanted to go back to where yoga is from. So then I went to Rishikesh lately, and then I finished my my education there. But since that instance with the stress leave and everything, I realized that there's so many ways to relieve stress and then help on those symptoms. But for me, it was mainly yoga, and mainly the traditional way of yoga that helped me to heal on a deeper level.
Okay, yeah. And you mentioned that you actually is one of the few people who started more the spiritual part of yoga. You mentioned the meditation, you got into it 18 years old. That's interesting. And do you think that's what helps you more to manage the stress? Or it was the combination of the physical part and
I think it's a combination. I would say ideally the traditional part would help me the most, but that's also the hardest for me to get into. So for me, a lot of times I go to normal commercial studio yoga classes just to get into to stay in the habit of doing the physical asana practices. And then it just keeps me into the routine, I would say. But then on top of it, I always do the more traditional parts that that's not very well popularized, or I don't know how to say it. But then I do certain practices where I get deeper, and maybe I do it for several hours, or
Meditating.
Either meditating, or I stay in asanas in super long time.
Okay.
Or I apply some extra like visualization techniques on top of the asanas. So I would say that then I start to combine it from like the different schools that I've been learning from, or I even put on some like mantra meditation on top, and that's where I actually start to feel that okay, now I'm you know, like I'm healing deeply now, but I kind of need the combination of the two. Otherwise, it takes a lot of energy for me to get into the deep state.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you prefer meditating in the morning or evening, or you do different hours?
It's a tricky question. I would say, so I prefer to follow the 8 limbs of yoga. So I would say in the mornings I prefer to start with asana practices and then move to pranayama, and then if I have time, then I finish with meditation. Of course, I don't always have 3 or 4 hours in the morning to do that. I would say because I'm doing a quite high you know, like mentally heavy work in general. So like especially for like office workers and those who use their brain a lot during the days. For me, it's very hard to just sit down and then just do meditation. I need like long hours of asana and pranayama practices to calm both the body and the mind to start meditation itself. Yeah.
Do you think people in offices can use it? Like put some pranayama or like short time of meditation during the working hours?
Yeah. I think especially pranayama. I think that's something that I know that there's probably a trend where like breathwork is coming more and more like popular lately. But I think breathwork is something that's, you know, it's almost like natural coffee as well, right?
So, yeah, and it's so accessible, and it's
exactly,
the effect is like
instant. Exactly. Yeah, I almost feel like probably around breath there's less judgment, or there's less labeling around maybe this asana practice, it looks too esoteric for me, so I won't do it. But I think breathwork is something that it has a lot of potential for people to accept it. There's going to be more acceptance on the market, I think. Yeah.
And is there anything like, do you have any dream, anything you want to achieve and you haven't yet?
I mean, I have it in terms of like balancing all kinds of worlds. Like for me, so I kind of have a pause in my career now, where I'm trying to find like the type of solutions where I can still do my very business heavy, very commercial driven type of work, but then I can still ingrain, you know, like spirituality and yoga in my day. So for me, the goal is to more, how can I integrate these two worlds? Like, because I kind of feel like the two extremes are not, it's not for me. So I've tried being purely in the business, per logical, per analytical world. Didn't work. And I also feel that but the solution is not to, you know, withdraw from society and withdraw from, I don't know, capitalism per profit-driven organizations. I think like people, planet, and profit, I pretty much believe in that. So for me, the goal is more to like have a life where I can balance these two and integrate it together as, you know, partners, rather than okay, I'm either spiritual or I'm either a business person. And I think I'm like now a time is coming where, you know, consumers also becoming more and more aware of mindfulness. And I think now is the time to have a more like integrated lifestyle where these two can live together in the Western world as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, to find the balance.
Exactly.
I guess.
Yeah.
The final goal.
Yeah.
And out of curiosity, because Oliver is a yoga teacher,
you're
a yoga teacher, do you do something together sometimes?
We do, yeah. Yesterday he also helped me to keep me in a headstand in 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, we do things together, and I think like our practices also are on different levels, but we do meditation together. We also do we do a lot of like yoga alignment on each other, so it's a bit more like Iyengar style.
You're very lucky.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to train all these like flexibility and alignment by yourself, right? So no, I have a yoga teacher at home who can just like food.
Yes, true.
Exactly.
That's great. Do you want to add anything, like any message you have to the world?
I think it's it's more like focus on both the head and the heart. I would say think of the balance. I think there is a reason why in Buddhism we talk about the middle way, or the balance between the two. So I would say the message would be maybe that, like, use yoga more of a amplifier for your life. It can also be a full lifestyle, but use it more as a tool to maximize your own potential.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.